Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys, there's another review. Today we're tackling Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2. This is a big one. Yeah, you see the Last Jedi poster and we got Rise of Skywalker there. I want to eventually get, I have Force Awakens in the corner over there in a thingy, whatever the heck you call it. And this here is, I'm obviously, on my door. But one day I'll get all three up and it'll be cool. But, yes, that's a good birthday gift. And thank you also for the birthday wishes and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. You guys are freaking awesome. Anyway, we're going to be tackling Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 today. If you have not seen this season, obviously I'm not going to ruin everything, but, it's kind of hard to review something in this detail, with the season. What is it, 288 minutes long and not ruin some stuff, so highly recommend it. I don't think it's on Starz anymore. It might be on Netflix again. As I said in season 1, you can just get a Blu-ray. They're not that expensive now. They're probably find them on sale. But yeah, man, this is season 1 was essentially this is one of my favorite shows of all time. It's a really freaking good show, and the amount of lore and the world building that is in season 1 is really great, but I feel like they expanded upon it in a lot of really unique ways with season 2 here. And I think the biggest kind of catch for the season is not only more lore, but more world building and also more details on Ash Williams as a character, right? We're getting Kelly. Kelly isn't, she's not really in it a whole, she's in it, but she's not like, a massive character arc, so to speak. She has a few things here and there with being a leader and all that, and Pablo really kind of gets a lot of the screen time in this as well with, literally the Necronomicon, right? The Book of the Dead kind of being absorbed into him. So Pablo is kind of, becoming one with this book thanks to the events of Season 1. Ruby is back, obviously, and I think Ruby has some really cool instances where her and Kelly in the beginning of the season are kind of, fighting to essentially kill her spawn, right? Kill her kids, her creepy-looking weird kids that are right there. You probably can't see it. I don't even know what's happening if it's zooming, but they're weird-looking, creepy kids, and they're kind of have to kill them because they, basically screwed her over, and Ruby and Kelly have to go kill them, and I think that's a cool little subplot. It's not, focused too heavily on. It's kind of like a little thing. They kind of kill the kids. That sounds really effing weird, but if you've seen if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. They killed the demon children very quickly on, and then Ruby can kind of focus on other stuff, but lo and behold, she is mortal now, and a lot of bad stuff happens. But this is kind of where a lot of the plot comes in, not only with the main villain, which we'll get to, but also Ash. Pablo's doing stuff, Ruby's doing stuff, Kelly's doing stuff, but Ash really has a spotlight here. He is kind of going back to Elk Grove, right, his kind of hometown where he grew up and all that, where his dad was, and his dad is still there. I think his name's Brock Williams, and him and his dad kind of have, a bit of a falling out when the events of the Evil Dead 1 happened, because, Ash he effing did, right? He killed all of his friends with a chainsaw and an axe and a shotgun, and then, he went back to the Middle Ages and whatnot, but, when he came back to the present and all this crazy shit happened with these first 3 movies, he comes back to the present, and his dad and his entire town labels him Ashy Slashy and just kind of, makes fun of him, and he comes up with a little nursery rhyme, and Ash basically becomes an outcast in his own town because Ash is like, no, I swear, there were Deadites, and I had to kill demons, and yeah, I killed my friends, but they were demon versions. I'm not a murderer. I'm not a serial killer. I'm not some crazy, insane person, right? And his dad and the whole inhabitants of this town, city, whatever, are like, hey, no, you're pretty cuckoo, you know what I mean? You're pretty nuts. And I think that's a really unique aspect of the character that, we're kind of getting these repercussions and consequences of what happened to Ash as a character as a result of, these 3 movies. And I think it's really interesting going back to his hometown and kind of, being labeled as an outcast and how he kind of deals with that, and he's down on his luck. He pretty much hates his dad, and throughout the course of the series, right, we see crazy things happen with Ash's Delta, the car, right, that gets possessed. We've seen him and his dad kind of almost like Lloyd and Garmadon from Ninjago in a very R-rated way, you know what I mean? I probably just blinded you there, but there is there's a little bit of that in there, maybe not as robust and well-rounded as Ninjago, for example, but something happens to his dad in the middle of the season. But I think that it is pretty cool that they kind of went there, and it's not just, oh, it's Ash and he's making jokes and he's killing Deadites and it's just gore. Like, there's a lot of, as we've established with these other movies in the other season, there's a lot to this show and a lot to this world other than just, oh, a cool guy kills demons, you know what I mean? There's really like layers and layers and layers, which is really great. And then you get to this season's bad guy, Baal, B-A-A-L, not like a bouncy ball. And this, as the title suggests, it is ball to the wall effing insane, because this is the first time in Evil Dead where we've seen a villain who has the almost like the sliminess of like Loki and Grima Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, and he gives a good performance. I don't know the guy's actor name, but he gives a good performance as Baal, this demon, right? And Ruby's really pumping him up. Oh man, he's the main bad guy and all that. And he's not just a cool looking villain or a creepy looking villain. He is a good villain, right? Like the Evil Dead really never had that before. We've had the Deadites, and we've had their each Deadite, each book, right, from Evil Dead 2013, Evil Dead Rise, and this stuff. We've seen these books kind of inhabit their own little world and their own little way of doing things, right? The book literally can transcend time and space, and that's why they mess with people. And they're not just books, right? Like they have a personality to each book. But the issue is that we never had like a person that was actually a bad guy. Like we've seen demons and Deadites in Evil Dead, but seeing Baal in this is really, really freaking cool because it gives us a character, a physical human, and he's a demon, but a physical human to look at and say, okay, this is the main antagonist of Season 2. This is the main bad guy. And it's really cool that, as an audience, I can watch that and not go, oh, it's just another Deadite with, an unnamed demon who is, maybe manipulative and all that, but that's all he is. Baal is manipulative, right? That's his whole shtick, right? That's the whole thing he does. And there's a few moments in this where, again, there's a lot happening in the season, right? You've got Baal, you've got the possession of Ash's car for a little bit, you got Ash's dad, you got the Kelly arc, you got the Pablo book arc, you got Ash's arc, you got other cameos, Chet, Ted Raimi, not Chet, my puppet, which is how I named him Chet. He's over there looking at me. But, yeah, I think that... shit, what's he doing? No, well, he went in there. It's funny. Yeah, the puppet walks, but we don't talk about that. Yeah, so we've seen Chet, Ash's buddy and all that. We see Cheryl, really cool cameo by her. There's a lot of good cameos and a lot of good, maybe not as strong as Season 1 when it's like, oh, Ash goes back to the cabin, and it's like, this grand thing. But he does go back to the cabin again. We'll get to the time travel thing. Yeah, there's time travel. Why wouldn't there be time travel, right? I mean, this season, it does a lot of crazy stuff. Again, there's a million things going on in this season. But for some reason, it's like lightning in a bottle, man. They effing do it again. It doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like they're, the car, and then his dad, and then this, and then Baal. Like it's not like super duper fast paced, right? Yeah, they're 30-minute episodes, and there's only 10 of them. But each episode feels long enough to the point where you feel like you're bonding with these characters, right? There's this whole element where Baal is a manipulative demon, and he kind of gets in your head and or literally takes your skin off and wears you, and that's how he kind of becomes like that. For some reason, he likes to invade the bodies of women, policemen, whatever. But all these cops are kind of getting invaded by Baal, and literally, like, he takes their skin off and just wears their skin like a little suit. You know what I mean? And it's creepy. This thing, God. The tape broke. But anyway, you see a lot of the elements of Baal where he is this manipulative, demon, and it's really cool where it's almost like, I think this came out before Moon Knight, but in my Moon Knight review, I kind of said that I like the, psychological aspect of that show, and this maybe isn't as strong or as prevalent, but there's this episode, right, where Baal kind of knocks out Ash and gets in his head, or we think he does, and there's this whole episode, this whole little mini arc where Ash is like in an insane asylum, like Arkham Asylum, right, and, Baal is manipulating him to think that all of the events of these movies and the show, everything regarding Deadites and the Evil Dead and the book, it's all in his head. Ash has been insane and crazy the whole time. He's locked up, he's violent, he's a murderer, and Baal is like, no, everything you think happened is fake. Obviously, the fake stuff, it's all fake. It really did happen. Baal is just manipulating Ash. But we see, Kelly and Pablo in the prison and all that. We see Ruby as the nurse. Ash is losing his mind. And there's some really good character development there. And also some genuine, I know people say Bruce Campbell's not a good actor, but I think he does a pretty good performance in this, right? There's a few moments where I genuinely felt, obviously a lot of the show is him cracking jokes and being a badass and all that, but there's these, somber moments and these slow shots and these moments in this hospital where you feel for Ash as a character, right? At first he's like, you're full of crap, I know you're Baal. His psychologist, right? Dr. Peacock or whatever his name is. And then by the end of it, you see Ash kind of succumb to this and be like, you know what? I think I am a killer. I think you're right, Doc. Obviously, it's all a trick from Ash, which I think a lot of people don't understand Ash's character. Ash, yes, he's a loser, but he's also not an idiot. Like, he's stupid to a degree, but he's also not like IQ of 2. You know what I mean? Like, he is smart enough to know when to outsmart the demon, when to be serious, when to care. He's not just Deadpool where he's like, I'm making jokes all the time. It may seem like that, but if you watch the show, you'll know that there is, these multi-layers of Ash's character, which is really cool that we haven't really seen before. So I like that aspect of the psychological element. Of course, Ashy Slashy, the puppet, which I really effing want. You guys know I'm not like a huge puppet collector, but I have a few puppets, right? I could do Kermit the Frog's voice, so obviously I have Kermit. You guys know that. But I really want to get the Ashy Slashy puppet. This thing is motherfudging like $1,000. So maybe like, I don't know, a wedding gift or something. I have to tell my girl, be like, hey, I'm bringing home a puppet. You know what I mean? We'll have to see how that works. But I do really want that Ashy Slashy puppet, man. This shit looks awesome. But he's a good addition. I think that's kind of funny. It really fits the lore and the tone. But then you also got these episodes where Baal is like manipulating people at a police station, right? You see, I don't remember the guy's name, but this cop character that Ash used to bully in school, and his wife Linda, I believe, and his daughter, and they kind of get into hijinks, and there's some really tense moments where you really are like on the edge of your seat, and you're like, wow, this Baal demon guy, he's manipulating. Not like what we've seen before with the other books, like he is a completely different demon. And then by the end, Pablo, like, spoiler alert, okay, Pablo freaking dies. He gets bisected, and I don't remember this. I remember him getting bisected. I don't remember him dying. He straight up effing dies, and then Ash literally goes back in time using that portal from the end of Evil Dead 2 and the beginning of Army of Darkness. He goes back in time with the the Necronomicon book writing and shit, and he goes back in time to save Pablo and kind of try to prevent this him reading the book from ever happening. And of course, that's where it kind of loses a lot of people online. I'll admit it, I was a bit confused as well by the end. But basically, Baal and Ash and Ruby and all that, they kind of have this little scuffle, and obviously the good guys win. But to get there, they go back in time. They go to the cabin. They see Nobi, who is Annie's father, who is pretty much manipulating is it Margaret? It's someone. Henrietta, that's right, Henrietta. And he chains Henrietta to the wall, and we kind of we've seen glimpses and heard glimpses from the other movies and all that, but to actually see that, it's pretty effing cool. And obviously, we don't get to see any de-aged or deep-faked Ash, we don't see that, but, this is not a Marvel show with its budget, but it would have been cool. But I think that it is interesting to see how things happen, and, like, the end of the episode is, like, effing bonkers, man. Like, you think Pablo is saved, and then Baal is wearing Pablo's skin, and then it ends with, like, a big cabin fight where Ash is, like, literally punching and having a fist fight with Baal the demon, and there's some really epic shots, and they're really good cinematography. There's a shot where, like, Baal, he, like, punches a pillar, like, those crazy fingernails he has. He, like, punches a pillow, and he's, like, doing this with the pillow, and all the freaking, pillow feathers are flying everywhere, and lightning's flashing. It's really, really good cinematography. The editing is fantastic. The action, I never would have thought Evil Dead would have, like, a one-on-one boss battle, you know what I mean? But, like, Ash and Baal fight with a chainsaw, and they're like, sparks are flying. It's so effing cool. It's like that boss fight in Resident Evil 7, you know what I mean, with the chainsaws and all that. It's really, really out of left field, and it comes out of nowhere, but for some reason it still works. And again, we've never seen, a full, we've seen Ash fight demons and all that and kind of kill them in quick succession, but to see Ash fight Baal, like a one-on-one, like I said, like a boss battle, is really freaking cool. And again, this season did what Evil Dead's never done before. They do the Delta getting possessed. We do the whole Ash's dad. We have the character progression for character arcs for all these characters. Even Ruby, she is mortal now, so throughout the course of the season, she's kind of learning to be more human, and of course she dies, but it's a really good arc for her as well. Nothing like spectacular like that, but it is still still good for what Evil Dead is, right? Like, I wasn't expecting any of this. And then, of course, it ends where this is a bit of confusing, so I'll just kind of, because I had to Google it. People online are really effing confused, and they're like, I don't get the ending of Season 2, what's going on? So pretty much what happens at its base level, right, is they send Baal back to hell in the book and all that, and it seems like they win. Pablo comes back, the cabin burns down, and they're like, all right, we did it, we saved it, right? We prevented this from ever happening. But, of course, like the MCU, Ruby mentions time travel doesn't work that way. So, you changed it, but this did not retcon Evil Dead 1, 2, 3 in Season 1, right? Like, it's not like that never happened. All that stuff still happened. It's just that now, they kind of went back in time and F some stuff up. But because of their timeline shenanigans, they end up going back to the present, and Ash is heralded as a savior, and Elk Grove says that they're wrong, and Ash ends by kissing Linda. and he sees the ghosts of his dad and Chet and Cheryl, which I think is really cool, right? We've seen demons, but we've never really seen ghosts, like, you know, blue spirit ghosts, like a force ghost, and I think that looks really, really cool. It was genuinely like a touching moment to see Ash's dad give him a thumbs up and just kind of, you know, give him a little good job, goodbye. Really good stuff there. Of course, his sister smiling at him and Chet waving. It's really wholesome in a show with like a ton of F words and gore. You know, it is, there are, like I said, there are jokes, and it's not like a heavy show, right? It's a very lighthearted show and franchise, pretty much, for the most part. But, you know, it is cool to see that kind of wholehearted moment in the end there. And then we see Ruby from the past is back in the future. So pretty much what ends up happening, and you know, we'll talk about it when I review season 3. But yeah, they're in the past, and then they just, Pablo reads the incantations on his chest or whatever, and they go back to the present, and that's it. You know what I mean? And I believe there's even a line in season 3 where Pablo's like, "Yeah, we went back in time, but nothing really seems to have changed." So I don't remember that. Again, I'm going to start season 3 as soon as I'm done reviewing this one to get it out to you guys ASAP before, you know, we finish up this franchise and go back to Marvel. But overall, again, that's pretty much what happens. This was kind of filmed to be like a last episode. You know, they weren't really sure if they were going to get a season 3. So I think this is a good finale. It isn't the finale. Season 3 is. But I think it ends on a really, you know, positive, happy note. You know what I mean? It ends on a cliffhanger with Ruby. But I think, you know, there's no, like, final kill or anything. It's really just Ash, Pablo, Kelly, Linda, and everyone being happy and celebrating, which is something that you don't really see a whole lot in this franchise. So it was kind of cool to, you know, see that. But other than that, man, like I said, I really freaking love it, man. Like, people, this is one of the most, I think, underestimated and maybe even underappreciated horror franchises, because if you look below your I guess, skepticism and your schema and your, you know, this is, Evil Dead is just gore. But, like, if you really sit down and pay attention and watch these movies and this show, there's a heck of a lot of lore, really good content, really good character arcs, really good writing, good acting, good storylines. You know, the effects are better. Everything pretty much is better in terms of CGI from season 1. There's a few moments with, you know, the demons and all that. You know, Ruby's spawn children, they're not perfect all the time. There's a few moments where, this is going to sound really, really weird, but it's in the show, where Henrietta is lactating on Ash's face, and you see, like, the like, yellow milk. Obviously, that is CGI. You could tell, you know, it was a fluid sim. Not the best, not horrible, but you can tell. Because, you know, with Evil Dead, there's a lot of practical effects, a lot of practical blood and practical whatever. So to see a you know, jarring CGI liquid sim is a little bit kind of off-putting. You also see the, you know, Ash's, you know, car kind of go up like a horse, you know what I mean? Fucking would do whatever it's doing. And you can kind of, you know, you can tell, obviously they didn't get a car to do that, right? Unless it's actually possessed and I'm an idiot, but obviously that would be CGI. But there are some, you know, deliberate CGI shots where Ash is flying around and the camera's up close, very much, you know, doing homages to those movies, which is really great. And then we get the scene. Look, I've seen this show before, right? And I've seen a lot of gore in this franchise. Again, it doesn't gross me out because I know that it's all fake. I know how they did it. If I saw real blood, real chainsaws, I'd fucking pee myself. But if you know, I know it's fake, so it doesn't even affect me. I'm not some kind of crazy masochist. I'm not a serial killer. I'm just straight up telling you. I love movies. I love how movies are made. So seeing all this stuff, it doesn't really affect me. You know, obviously it does to a degree, but I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm not freaking out over here. But there's one moment where Ash goes to the morgue, right? He kind of has to get the book out of the cadavers, and he rips open the dead bodies. And look, I'm a straight dude, so seeing a naked guy with his wee-wang out for an extended period of time was a little bit cringy. There's some boobs, and I'm like, all right, I'm fine with that, you know, because there's women. But then I see the dude's wang, and I'm like, it's rated MA, it's a mature show, so I get it. And thankfully it's not for very long. But that was the only moment where I'm like, oh, fuck, like, I don't want to see that shit. Like, I'm fine with blood any day, whatever. But that, I'm like, I don't want to see. And I get it. It's supposed to be funny because Ash gets sucked up into the guy's butthole. It's a whole thing. I'm not making this up. Like, it's slapstick humor. But yeah, it's supposed to be gross out, and they successfully did that. But other than, I wouldn't really call that a negative. It's just something like they got me. They got me to cringe a little bit. You know what I mean? But other than that, though, it is genuinely an amazing season, right? Like, I love the villain. Baal is a really good villain. I love the effects for the most part. I think the writing is fantastic for all these characters. The CGI, again, it's a step up, but not perfect. You know, there's a few little hitches here or there. But I think the way they ended is really good. I like the wholesome ending. I like the, new additions of Chet and all that. The whole episode where they're drinking, what is it, pink fuck or whatever they call it, like that drink with like the ketamine. I think that's funny. Obviously, there is a lot of gore and a lot of violence, but there's a lot of lighthearted stuff as well that, there's genuinely like good all ages humor in there. Not that I recommend this to a kid or teen, but it's not like every joke is adult rated. You know what I mean? There's some genuinely like slapstick moments and all that. It's not like every scene is an F word. They're in there, but it isn't. Again, you got to understand. You need to watch this to understand really what I'm talking about. Because when I'm talking about buttholes and all that, you're like, what the hell is this show? What are you, nuts? Why are you watching that? It's weird. But if you actually know this franchise and watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It works. But I think overall, again, I think one of the strongest aspects is, again, that writing, that villain, and how it all kind of comes together in the end. And again, we're doing things we've never seen before with this franchise, right? I never thought we'd go back in time, back to the cabin and see Nobi. I never thought we'd have an actual, like, human villain to look at and despise with Ash. I never thought we'd have a chainsaw fight with Ash and Baal where sparks are flying in the house and there's actually good choreography and the shots are great. It really is insane, man. They really upped the ante in pretty much every single way from Season 1. And I don't remember a whole lot of Season 3. I remember the ending, and we'll talk about, Season 3 when I review it. But I remember it being a good conclusion to this franchise and to this show. Obviously, we are getting an Evil Dead animated show. We're getting 2 new movies. So this franchise is not dead, nowhere near it. Even though Bruce Campbell is done playing Ash in live action, he will be voicing him in the animated show. So there's a lot of... This thing is... Jesus Christ! This thing is... There we go. Cool. Spider-Man. Great. But we're going to end it there. The poster had enough. So anyway, hope you guys had fun watching this review of Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2. And tell me down below in the comments what your favorite season is so far between 1 and 2. Again, I really dig this season, man. It's a heck of a lot of fun. Again, you have to stomach this stuff, but if you can, I think you're in for a really great treat with the season and this franchise. I'm going to give Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 a 9. We'll do a 9, maybe 9 or 9.5 out of 10. Really, my only negatives are some of the CGI and, all that. But, I'm going to go leave and watch Season 3, do some homework, and put that freaking poster up because one piece of tape per side was not enough. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I can't wait to cover Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3. And then we got a few more movies, and then we're going to move on to Marvel. So thank you guys for being patient with the Marvel stuff. I really am glad I'm covering this, though, because rewatching this season has been a treat and pretty groovy. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next video.